Vinaka Nasimatiko. You are listening to 5:31 PI Pacific Mornings with Gallo. It's 11 past 8. Now, this week it was announced that Hurricanes lock Isaiah Walker-Leawere was banned from all sport for 1 month after testing positive for cannabis. The New Zealand Rugby Judicial Committee suspended Walker-Leawere for the presence and use of THC, the main psychoactive compound found in cannabis. And here to talk to us about the use of cannabis by our sports people is the Chief Executive of Drug Free Sport in New Zealand, Nick Paterson. Now, Nick, this is an interesting topic and we think it could be useful for our audience, especially our younger sports people. So thank you so much for joining us today. Morena.
Kia ora team.
Now, Walker-Leawere is serving a 1 month suspension from all sports after the use of THC, which is a compound found in cannabis. Would you mind just outlining what happened and why he was given a 1 month suspension?
Look, in this case, we've got a rugby player playing for the Hurricanes who, out of competition, so not before or during a game, in his own time, we have taken a test from him and found that he had used cannabis. Now, cannabis, we all know what cannabis is and potentially some of the effects of it. We don't believe at Drug Free Sport New Zealand that it enhances an athlete's performance, but it is banned in sport. It's a worldwide system that we operate in. Cannabis is not allowed to be used by athletes, by high performance athletes. In this case, this athlete was using it, and as a result, he gets a ban. In this case, the ban initially might have been 3 months, but he's agreed to go and get a bit of support, go and take some advice from some experts, and so that ban is reduced to 1 month only.
As I understand it, he'd smoked marijuana 3 days before the test. Nick, how long can THC stay in your system?
Hey, that's a really difficult question, to be honest. It is quite a complex compound, and it depends on your body size, weight, and composition. So it's quite it's not an easy question to answer. And as a result, our advice for athletes is just don't use it. We understand again how it can be used in social situations, and we don't support that. It is not legal to do so. But nonetheless accept that it does happen on occasion. But we just say if you're a high performance athlete, stay away from it. It's banned.
As part of his suspension, Nick, he's required to undergo a substance of abuse treatment program. What's involved with that program?
And that varies again from substance to substance and athlete to athlete. And at the bare minimum, it's taking advice from qualified medical experts who can advise an athlete on, or any individual, on any substance of abuse. Now, I suspect you may have some listeners saying, look, cannabis, is it really a substance of abuse? In our world, in the sporting world, we're really looking at high performance athletes taking, on rare occasions, drugs to enhance their performance, testosterone, anabolic steroids, SARMs, these sorts of things. For substances which are not so impactful in sport, such as cannabis, it's termed a substance of abuse, and therefore, rather than ban athletes for long periods of time, 2 or 3 years, we call them substances of abuse, and we try to get them support, in this case from medical experts.
Now, what I find really intriguing, though, is that for 15 years, your organization has been calling for cannabis to be removed from the prohibited list. Why are you advocating for its removal?
Well, as I say, this has become quite an interesting topic. We simply don't believe it enhances an athlete's performance. Rather, it potentially inhibits an athlete's ability to train properly, I suspect. But our medical and science advice is it doesn't enhance an athlete's performance. For the World Anti-Doping Agency, WADA, they're the ones who set the international rules. To prohibit a substance, it's got to be 2 or 3 things. 1 is enhancing an athlete's performance. 2 is damaging to an athlete's health. And 3 is against the spirit of sport. Now, WADA have said broadly it's against the spirit of sport and potentially damaging to an athlete's health for athletes to use cannabis, which is why it's banned. But we just don't think it belongs on the list at all. We think athletes should be concentrating on not taking these really dangerous substances like, as I say, testosterone or SARMs or other anabolic steroids.
So while marijuana is on the prohibited list, but your advice, just to confirm, is that sports people should just refrain from using it.
Correct. It makes it very simple,
Yeah.
and just stay away from it, and we'll all be fine.
And are you able to say whether Maori and Pacific sports people are more likely to be picked up for THC than other ethnicities?
Look, we're not. We're seeing perhaps one positive result every 12 months for THC in New Zealand. So the numbers are really low.
Mm.
But again, that's not a message to say don't worry about it. The message remains for athletes of all ethnicities: stay away from it if you can.
Now, Nick, would I be wrong to think it seems a bit hypocritical that you can go for a beer with the boys after a match, but if you have recreational marijuana, you could be suspended?
Oh boy, I'd struggle to disagree with you to some degree, I have to be honest, but the rules are the rules.
Yeah.
Now, we know that in society there's a lots of different things that people might look at, and that's why we know that marijuana is low on an impact in terms of what it might do to your body. But two things. One is, of course, it remains illegal to do so we mustn't forget that. But secondly, we really focus on sport, and whilst it is banned in sport, athletes should stay away from it. Sorry if I keep saying the same message. All I can do in my organisation in New Zealand and for New Zealanders is that we'll continue to campaign and keep asking WADA to take it off the list, to stop it being prohibited.
Do you think marijuana will ever be removed from the prohibited list, and what needs to happen for it to change?
This is non-stop difficult questions. Again, I'm really sorry. I hope so. I don't know. I hope it will be taken off. I say we won't stop asking for it to be taken off. We have good supporters. We know the US asked the same thing about a year ago. Canada asked the same thing. So there's a few countries who are asking for it to be removed, and we'll keep trying for that. I hope so, is the answer.
Good answer, Nick. As we wrap up, have you got any final thoughts or messages for our listeners?
Oh, look, I'd say we're looking out on an Auckland slightly sunny day for the timing. Get out, enjoy some sport, go and play hard and play well, but play clean. That's what it's about.
Well done. Thank you so much, Nick. Wonderful to have your company this morning. That was Chief Executive of Drug Free Sport in New Zealand, Nick Paterson. If you missed the interview, you can watch